Hi. I want to go ahead and record this. I got a little smaller tripod because the other one, I don't like lugging that one around. I'm going to do things just a little bit different this time and hopefully not as lengthy. Cancer. Your energy's so damn potent. A couple of days ago, I was just in it. Now, yeah, I have a Vedic Cancer moon, but after the full moon, especially when the moon went into Pisces, I had to pump the brakes because the emotional energy was just so powerful. I had to allow myself that time, that space to let the emotions come, let them flow, let them tell me what they had to tell me, and still keep operating. So it wasn't to ignore them. Like, I really gave myself time, and it brought me out of what I described it as was like a precognitive fog. It was like right before I get the full message, the full download, it's like the emotional spring has to erupt. And it was safe. It wasn't, sadness at all, not by a long shot. But it was really a release of built up pressure. It was very invigorating, I may say. So thank you for that. Just being who you are and having that type of influence. It really is. We are lunar to a certain extent, especially as women or us yin signs, water and earth. So it was refreshing to be able to do so and do it freely, safely, confidently, and not try to rush through the process. It was really, 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 I keep saying really, but it was deeply transformative in a very subtle and impactful way. So I have your energy oracle cards here, and I also have your I Ching. I have rough chakra stones, rough cut, and I have the smooth engraved ones. So first I'm going to get an engraved stone to see what this energy is really looking like for you, what it's affecting. Oh shit, we have the throat chakra here. Am I holding it the right way? Throat chakra. The lapis lazuli. And let's see what chakra really needs the work though. Oh, one and the same. So it's almost as if it is the communication that you're working on, but at the same time, it's coming in as a strength. The ability to know that what you need to work on is what you're using to propel forward. That is the strength in and of itself, where fear could have caused a blockage, or speaking your mind, speaking your truth, speaking your feelings could have been challenging, because what you know and feel to convey that may have come out rough or not perceived the way that you intended it. It is really giving me, like, they won't understand, or how do I explain this, or they don't get it type of energy and influence. And it's really the fact that you're able to take what you're not so comfortable, the state that you're not so comfortable being in, and using it in a way that in your mind's eye, it may be rough and it may be imperfect and it may be hard for others to really see the value in or the beauty in. But you just having the amazing courage or the current coming through, having you release that and having you express that is it's going to be your saving grace. It's really going to do you well. The same thing that's challenging you is coming in as your salvation, is saving you from your own torment or your own stagnation, but it's bringing you closer to your manifestation. Underneath this, because we have 8 manifestation and we have 9 with completion, and underneath this card was self-love. It's a 61, which is a 7. I know everything's inverted here, but it doesn't look as plain and simple as a 7. It's compiled of the 1, which is yourself, and 6, the things that bring you peace, the things that bring you harmony, the things that are working for you, that are sustaining. Those are the things that influence the feeling of love. I shit you not, I just sent a message and it was admitting in a very Cancerian way that a person influenced peace. They didn't give me happy. They didn't give me love in a particular way that could be categorized by the world around me. They gave me peace. That was harmonious to my spirit. And from that knowing, I was able to create happiness centered around the knowing of what peace was. And it manifests. 8 is a power number. It's typical of well-known professionals and athletes and things like this. It vibrates with a very powerful vibration. It does give me Scorpio Leo vibes in that fixed way where it could be for your betterment or your detriment, depending on how you use the personal power. But I really feel this is coming in as a win for you with this completion card, because now you have come to this is root chakra. I mean, not root. I'm sorry. This is crown chakra energy. This is very high up on this scale. So if you have been in cycles or felt seemingly stuck in one, you're like you've passed your own test. Your weakness became your strength. It's like if math was not your subject, you aced it still. Like all that hard work you put in, it actually amounted to something. You were actually unconsciously aware of the information actually getting through to you and making sense in your own specific way. You didn't even know you were absorbing the information in that manner. So when it came out in a different form, it really shows your growth. It shows your healing. So we have contemplation, the now, I am now, here with this I Ching card. And look at how peaceful this is. This Zen, this point of peace, and I was talking about peace. The way the card said, I can't see the images until I pick it up. It says recognition and awareness in the now, which transforms understanding into right action. Contemplation is purely existential. Wisdom, realism, application, self-awareness, dogmatism, superficiality. These different lines all coincide with different things that relate to this contemplation, the now, the I am now. There's like different levels of awareness in this very etching of an I Ching. They mean something very, very specific in different combinations. So no one could have handled this in your way. No one could have taught you how to handle this in your way. This is something that was handcrafted. Gate 44, coming to meet, alertness, the personnel manager. The success of any interaction is based on the absence of any preconditions, instinctive memory, and alertness that can manage and mold the collective. Aloofness, manipulation, honesty, interference, management, and conditions. And with this, there seems to be like a lot of chaos, right? But interference in why? Interfering in the zen, in the happiness, in the harmony. It makes you alert. It makes you astute. It puts you on edge, and it's for very good reason. Like, you really needed to learn the difference, the conditions. If the conditions imposed by you or others left you in a state of feeling peace together and just barely getting by or just barely holding it together, I mean, of course it would make you very alert. You would know how uncomfortable you are. It was about being honest with yourself. Honest enough with yourself to understand, okay, something's got to change. Even if it was you revealing a truth to yourself where you haven't been practicing this harmony, where you haven't been accepting things into your life that bring this type of harmony. It's a truth that can no longer be denied. And that's pretty much what has happened here. Six of Cups and the Sun at the bottom. Things start to look clearer once you come into an understanding of a truth. Then old things that are aligned with that specific pattern that are in your now, but also refer to the past, because they have similar vibrations, you'll attract certain things like that. And when you have something in your present and you find remedy in it, you're able to go back and remedy the old things as well. And you'll see them different. They'll feel different. Your truth in relation to them does a transmutation. Is just as important as the transmutation of the weight of the event itself. This is how we go through the steps of actually forgiving things, of actually like, damn, I'm still thinking about this in a 40-year-old mind. Inside of a 40-year-old mind, the pain is of a four-year-old person's perspective, and I've been holding on to that 4-year-old perspective for 36 years. That's just an example. So it's like, damn, I'm not 4 anymore. I am 40. And from this new truth of knowing, like, this is how I feel, this is who I am. That is not who I am now. That's who I was at that moment in time. The person I am now would have been able to call out this, been able to handle that, been able to admit this. And with these truths that release you from the shackles of a situation, a circumstance, a moment in time, you can take that truth and administer it throughout your timeline where those vibrational likenesses have occurred. It really does help you redefine who you are, but not only that, how present you are. Because a lot of people are still in those past moments in time, and they're scattered across their own timeline. So they can't be fully present. And it's the now. I am now. You're coming into a point of center where You're not too far in the future, and you're not, dwelling so far in the past. You're right where you're supposed to be. You've done this. This is why completion is confirming it's already done. Nothing can get past this personnel manager now. Because if these are the things that you were comprised of and made of for so long, you recognize when you see this coming your way. You know when someone's not put together in a healthy way, or in a way that can actually sustain. It doesn't have the endurance to promote peace. You can feel that. You can see that. I got 3 off top, and it's childhood. And I went back to 4 years old, but it could have been between 5 and 10. Quite literally, I'm getting 5 and 10. That's it. 5 cards. You have 3 of Cups at the bottom of the deck. 10 of Wands, leading right to the Hierophant that's sitting next to the 10 of Pentacles. There was something, especially when it comes to what you value, or your responsibilities, the way you were taught to handle things, or the way you were taught to pile things on your plate. Stay productive, stay busy. And it was like instilled in you in a particular way that became just so overwhelming. You have 2 10s here. This is again a reiterated completion. Like, I think you're just the last one to find out that the stress and the strain is over with. You may have felt the release, but I don't know if you've walked into it with this Leo energy that we're stepping into. We have the King of Wands standing here, like, just kind of on the other side of things. Like, yeah, like you're almost here. You're approaching the end of the line of this burden, of this stress, of this strain of holding on to this shit. It really is time for you to, enjoy. It's like all the pre-planning and all the stuff that you have to do before the event. And the event being your own peace, your own happiness. Like, you had to do all this stuff and keep up all of this. It's like, at this point, it's like, trying to follow that blueprint has kept the things you dream of, the things you wish for, the things that you desire, like this Neptunian energy here. It does talk about fantasy, and it does keep a person always wondering, always longing and needing more of an answer to, what is this? Where does this lead me? When is it my turn? What is my life gonna be like? What is it gonna amount to? What else can I? It's given me a very, like, almost like a punishment energy, but not a literal punishment. It's more so because you're following a blueprint that didn't belong to you. You're following ideologies, or following a generational pattern. If people are all born in the early 80s, they typically have similar transits of the older older the more distant transits. So those distant celestial bodies hold different types of restrictions, different types of responsibilities for them. This is literally Sagittarius, in Saturn in Sagittarius. I personally have this placement, so I know what this feels like. I know it's like everything is hard earned, and it'll be worth it, but it's hard earned. And it's almost getting to the point where it's trying to teach you there's a different way to manage this type of thing. It could be a lot more simple. You're just not at the point of mastery with this. This isn't even your element to deal with. It's just something that you've had to endure, had to deal with. If you're only taught English and then you move to a Spanish speaking country for whatever reason, You'll have to adapt to a new way. You can try to, keep doing things the way you were taught, but it makes it a lot harder for you to communicate with others who are speaking in a whole nother fashion. And that leaves a communication breakdown. And you won't feel peaceful. You will always feel burdened because you know that there's blockages in your path versus blockages in others' path. They may speak their language and yours. And you just so happen to feel like you're catching a break if they can speak to you in a way that you can understand or understand you. So what has been structured was given to you, but it wasn't the only way to do. It wasn't the only way to be. It's just the way that you were used to. And now we have a different sense of freedom and coming back to a point of harmony, being able to socialize, being able to have that awareness and not feel like you are the one being left out or lost or picked over or excluded. Because, that feeling of like, damn, like if everybody is there and they're having a good ass time, I'm out here working, I'm out here doing this, I'm out here doing that, or the things that come so naturally to other people I have to work so much harder at. That's this energy. That's something that's influenced by the Hierophant. This is typical of a church setting, right? This is typical of the church window. Even what's going on inside has put these people outside. So what was indoctrinated and what was put inside of you has left you out, casted from a sense of belonging to a community that is yours. And that makes no sense. Because if anything, the influence of this should have been community, unity, mediation, compromise, something. And it was exclusion that you were taught, restriction that you were taught. You can't have this because you need to do this first. You can't have that because this comes first. Like the order of operations was given to you by someone who didn't do it, or it worked in their time. This is an elder. They're in a position to teach. And you can see others as just making it using that old formula, and you could be on crutches, or this could be you just feeling like you're barely there, and someone else who's similar to you in vibration or generation, like, I can barely keep up. Like, I'm really having a hard time doing this shit. Like, it's really, really difficult. And this is really drawing out sadnesses in me because I can see where that leads some people that are in this, was in this position, where they get trapped in the mind and they give up. They give up on life. They give up on their dreams. They give up on living in general. Or they give up on self-care. They let themselves go. They let go of, the things that brought harmony, brought peace. And they pick up these ways of being that put them even further down a spiral. Okay, I didn't even ask for the outcome yet, but this Six of Wands, when it hit the floor, it was reversed. And this Seven of Swords, speaking that truth to yourself, it was healing to an elixir. These two blue stones are roughly from the same pool. I'll say that much. And the very thing you felt like it was just no point, it was going to waste, it didn't matter, or nobody could understand, is the very thing that brings healing and hopefulness to a situation. There is hope, right? But there's an influence, an energy, an attachment that did not want to see this for you. The influence could be a person, but also it could be just the energy of deception that has been clouding your vision for quite a while. Because on the other side of this Ten of Wands mirroring is this hangman energy. And it's like, okay, well, this is like leading you nowhere, quite literally. This is spiritually. This is the action that's being taken, and it just leads a person to like stagnation still, a sense of suspended in midair. But they're still working, they're still doing these things. They consider themselves very productive, and it's not actually amounting to anything. And this is where this King of Wands energy finally gets its wits about them. Once they sit the fuck down after all of this, and they realize, that's not the way we do things. That's not the way it works. It doesn't have to be that difficult. It doesn't have to be that fucking hard. Like, you're really just making matters worse. Then you can have the Ten of Pentacles. Because you did actually work for it. You did actually have it. But the perception of not doing enough and not being enough and not striving enough, quite literally, it had your ass hemmed up. It's like this. It's like, if they keep working and they keep doing the way that they have been, the way they were taught, the way I told them, and it's an energy influence. It's like an entity. They'll never know that they've been doing it wrong. They've been doing it all hard, the hard way. It just seems like it's the right way because that's what they were told, they were taught. But it was only one way, and it was the hardest way to do it. But that entity attachment doesn't win here. The success evades it. It cannot succeed. And even still, if this was upright, it would meet you in your glory. And you'd be stomping in on that ass. That's what I'm seeing. This influence, this power is so much more potent than this. This is freedom. This is restriction. They both teach in different ways. Once you've tasted restriction, you know what freedom tastes like. Underneath this robe is a lot of truths that won't be revealed unless they're exposed. Quite honestly. There's always a trick up this Hierophant sleeve. There's always a catch. It is a 5 energy. You have to understand that it's not going to go smoothly. There will be much challenge in learning these lessons or even being taught. It may be a very difficult subject to transcend or to grasp. It does have a positive influence, but it's a very hard learned. It's a very hard learned lesson. And you've done the work. I mean, it's been hard enough. So now, rest assured, because your completion has arrived. It doesn't matter how far that influence goes. This healing ripples across your timelines. It just has a washing effect, a purifying effect. The difference between these two is 10. This is a 7. This is 17. You could have been 10 years old. It could have been the last 10 years. Just cyclical deception and running into the same issues where you get close, but it's no cigar. And it's always like you're just missing the mark. And you just can't wrap your head around it completely. Like, what the fuck? So yeah, you're present, you're accounted for. Glad to have you. Like, you're very, very important to all of us right now. Um, your influence is just giving a lot of people hope and renewing a lot of people from the inside out right now. And I need you to understand that you're in a very good position to testify, to attest to that. That is not always as difficult as it seems. Like, you really have to speak up. So I'm going to leave it there. And I will see y'all again.